If you're an American who is thinking about moving to a different country, I did it over a decade ago and I learned a lot in that process. So I just wanted to share a few things with you here. By the way, if you are interested in moving to New Zealand in particular, I have a book. It's called So You Want to Move to New Zealand, and it's specifically for Americans. So the link is in my bio if you want to check it out. Okay, number one, this is the thing that almost derailed my moving to New Zealand. It was extremely expensive to take our cat. And in the end, it was cheaper to pay a cat sanctuary in New York to take her than it was to bring her to New Zealand, because bringing her would have cost us over $5,000. So if you are thinking about moving abroad and you cannot part with your animal, then you need to be looking at a short list of countries that are easier on pet immigration, because New Zealand is a rabies-free country. They make it extremely difficult and you have to jump through all kinds of hoops. Look at other countries that might be easier if you absolutely cannot part with your pet. The other thing you need to keep in mind is, will your pet survive the quarantine process? Because usually, especially in New Zealand, you have to quarantine them for over 2 weeks. And if your cat or dog is old or frail, how well will they do in quarantine? How well will they do in the flight? Number two, how expensive is it going to be for you to ship all of your stuff to that other country? Right now, it costs around $10,000 to ship your stuff in a container from the United States to New Zealand, and it can take up to 6 months for your stuff to arrive. I personally decided with my husband over a decade ago, we were just going to sell everything we owned and start from scratch in New Zealand, and I do not regret that one bit. The next thing is not realizing at first when we moved abroad that we still needed to file our United States taxes. The United States is just one of 3 countries that taxes its non-resident citizens and makes us file our taxes every single year. It doesn't matter if you get citizenship in a different country. It doesn't matter how long you've lived outside of the United States. It doesn't matter if you make your income outside of the United States. You can use something like H&R Block Expat, which is like a DIY situation, or you could pay a bit of money for a professional accountant who is experienced in expat taxes. The next thing that I wish I had done more of in the beginning when I moved to Aotearoa, New Zealand, is understanding the indigenous language of Te Reo Māori. So of course this goes for any country you move to. If you move to Italy, you need to learn some Italian. If you move to Spain, you need to learn some Spanish. In New Zealand's case, we are an English-speaking country, but Te Reo Māori is used heavily in this country, and the pronunciation is very important. And when I first got here, I asked, how do I get to the city called Wakatane? And I got the funniest looks because it's not pronounced Wakatane, it's pronounced Whakatane. And then the last thing that I wish that I had sort of prepared myself for when I moved abroad was how hard it is to make friends abroad. Anyone in any country just have their lives. They've got their friends, their coworkers, they've got their own families, and then here comes this loud, potentially annoying American, and they just want to be friends because they don't have anybody in the new country and they're lonely. So the easiest way that I've found to make friends is to make friends with other Americans. I always tried to go to American events, you know, like a 4th of July party or a Thanksgiving dinner where there were other Americans there. Over time and with a bit of persistence, I made some really excellent friends. The other reason why I like hanging out with Americans who are also immigrants in the country is they just get it. They have the same tax problems. They have the same homesickness. We can babysit each other's kids because we don't have any grandparents here to help us, so we can help each other. So those are my tips for Americans moving abroad. Good luck, and if you want more information, check out the link in my bio.